Isn't it strange? How the biggest regrets in life often have nothing to do with what we did, but what we didn't do. How many dreams did you place on the shelf, thinking you'd come back for them later? How many quiet longings have sat untouched in the corners of your heart, waiting for the right time? If you're over 60, maybe you already know what I'm talking about. Because one day, you wake up and realize, time doesn't wait. And neither do the dreams we delay too long. Now before we go deeper, let me ask you this. Where are you watching from? I truly want to know. And if this speaks to something inside you, a memory, a what if you've carried for years, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps keep this space alive, for real stories, elderly reflections, and life lessons from the seniors who've lived through it all. Now, let's begin. This is not just a message about ambition. It's a story about the people who stayed safe, and now wonder what might have happened if they had dared. Let me tell you about Harold. Harold is 87. A former insurance executive from Oregon. He raised 3 children, paid off 2 mortgages, retired with a generous pension. By all accounts, he did everything right. But one evening, sitting across from me in his garden, he said, "I don't remember the board meetings. Or the promotions. What I remember is, standing on a beach in Hawaii in 1976, thinking, I could just stay here and start a surf shack. I could teach tourists. I could live free." He laughed, then paused. But I didn't. I flew back to Portland. I didn't even tell anyone I thought about it. He sipped his tea and looked away. I think about that shack more than I should. It's silly. But it's the version of me that felt the most alive. You see, Harold didn't fail at his dream. He abandoned it. And that's the kind of regret that lingers, not for what went wrong, but for what was never given a chance to go right. Then there's Eleanor. Eleanor is 81. A retired nurse who worked in New Jersey hospitals for over 4 decades. Tough. Reliable. The one who stayed late, trained the new hires, showed up every holiday. But what no one knew. Eleanor loved photography. She used to sneak into Central Park with an old film camera and wait for the right light. I thought maybe, one day, I'd publish a photo book. She told me. But who had time? Then I got married. Then I got promoted. Then the grandkids came. I asked her if she still had the camera. She smiled and said, "It's in the closet. I take it out sometimes. Still works. But my hands aren't steady anymore. I missed my window." That's the quiet heartbreak, isn't it? It's not about fame or fortune. It's about the part of ourselves we put away just for now and never retrieve. But some dreams? They never die. They whisper. They tug. And sometimes, they fight to come back. Take George. George is 93, lives in a care home in Boston. He doesn't talk much. But when he does, people listen. Because every word feels like it's been aged in wisdom. He told me, "I used to dance. Real ballroom stuff. Tails and everything." I laughed and asked, "What happened?" He said, "My dad didn't think real men danced. Said I'd end up broke and alone. So I joined the family business instead." He paused, then added, "I married. Raised a family. Did all right. But every wedding I went to, I'd watch the dance floor and wonder, what if I kept going?" Then he leaned closer and said something I won't forget. "We don't die when our bodies give up. We die when we stop listening to the music inside us." Let that sit for a moment. Because he's right. Too many seniors tell me the same thing. I should have tried. I should have taken that trip. I should have told her how I felt. I should have written the book, opened the cafe, moved to the mountains. They don't regret the failures. They regret the silence. The decisions they never made because someone else told them it was too late, or too risky, or not for people like us. But you know what? Most of those people. They didn't live your life. They didn't carry your passion. They didn't lie awake at night wondering, what if I had just been a little braver? Let me ask you something personal. Do you still have a dream inside you? Maybe it's small. Maybe it's wild. Maybe it's something you haven't even said out loud in years. But what if it's not too late? What if you're still here because there's still time to chase something? Not everything, not the whole dream from your 20s, but some part of it? To paint. To write. To teach. To love. To stand on a mountaintop and yell, I did it, just once, I did it for me. Because here's the truth. Senior wisdom isn't just about what you know. It's about what you still long for. And honoring that is a kind of healing. If you're still watching, thank you. Leave a comment and let me know where you're watching from. And if this stirred something inside you, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. This is a space for real stories. For quiet strength. For the kind of motivation that comes from truth, not hype. And there's more to say. More dreams to uncover. More lives to reflect on. The more I listen to people in their 70s, 80s, and 90s, the more I realize something powerful. It's not the dream itself that they regret leaving behind. It's what the dream represented. A version of themselves they never gave permission to come alive. A version that was bold. Curious. A little reckless, but full of life. Let me tell you about Gloria. Gloria is 87 now. Lives in a quiet apartment with soft yellow curtains and the smell of lavender always in the air. But when she was younger, she wanted to travel the world. Not just vacations, she dreamed of living in different countries, learning languages, dancing with strangers in the street, writing postcards from places no one else she knew had seen. But Gloria got married at 22. Her husband was kind, but cautious. He liked routine. I liked adventure. So I chose love. She said that with a soft smile, but her eyes told the rest of the story. I don't regret loving him, she said. But sometimes, I wonder who I would have become if I had also loved myself enough to chase my dream. That right there, loving yourself enough to chase what you desire. That's the part many people miss. Because too often, we're taught to sacrifice everything for others. And yes, that's noble. But when we never leave any room for ourselves, we start to disappear. Not suddenly, but slowly. Like a candle that still burns, but only barely. Gloria told me she still looks at maps. Still watches travel shows late at night with a journal in her lap. She writes down the cities she never saw. The meals she never tasted. The oceans she never swam in. I think I'm just trying to keep the dream alive somehow, she whispered. And maybe that's enough. Or maybe, for someone watching this, it's a sign not to wait. Because even if you're 60, 70, 80, if you can still walk, still speak, still plan, you can still go. And that brings me to Harold. Harold was a quiet man. 74. Always wore flannel shirts and had a laugh that made you feel like you were being hugged. He came to one of my workshops once and sat in the back with his arms crossed. Didn't say much. But afterward, when everyone had left, he walked up and said, I've never told anyone this before. I leaned in. He took a breath. I wanted to be a stand-up comedian. I blinked. You? He nodded. I used to write jokes. Practice in front of the mirror. But I was afraid. Afraid they'd laugh at me, for the wrong reasons. So he became a mailman instead. Worked that job for 35 years. Never once told his wife about the notebook full of jokes in the back of his closet. Now I just tell them to myself, he said. Still makes me laugh. Then he chuckled and said, too late now. But is it? See, that's the story we've been sold. It's too late. Too late to dream. Too late to try. Too late to learn something new. Too late to become who we always were on the inside. But you and I both know, that's not true. If you can laugh, you can bring joy. If you can speak, you can teach. If you can move, you can dance. If you can feel, you can live. Harold might never stand on a stage with a spotlight on him. But he could stand in a community center, in front of a dozen other seniors, and make them smile. He could read his jokes on a podcast. He could film a video with his granddaughter and go viral on the internet. Because the dream doesn't have to look like it used to. Sometimes, it just wants to come out into the light, any light. To be heard. To be honored. And maybe that's what we all want, too. To know that even if the path changed, even if life pulled us in another direction, even if we were scared once, we can still say yes to ourselves. Now let me tell you about Ruth. Oh, Ruth. She was 93 when I met her. Sharp as ever. Fierce. Witty. Kind. She had this way of looking at you like she could see everything you were trying to hide. One afternoon, she said, "People always ask me what I regret. I tell them, I regret not falling apart when I needed to. I didn't understand." So she explained, "I regret holding it all together. Playing it safe. Being the good girl, the good wife, the quiet one. I had ideas. Passion. Rage. But I buried it all beneath what was expected of me. And now I write poems that no one reads, and wish I'd let myself be a little wild when it still mattered." Her voice cracked. "I don't regret who I was. I regret who I could have been if I hadn't been so scared of making a mess." That one stayed with me. Because how many of us have felt that way? We were taught to behave. To stay in line. To make everyone else comfortable. And now we're left wondering, who might I have become if I had followed the fire instead of the rules? Maybe the most important question we can ask now. Is it too late to still become that person? If you're watching this, let me say this clearly, you are not too old. You are not too far gone. And your dreams are not foolish. They are fragments of your soul that deserve to be honored, even now. So please, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Tell me one dream you've buried but still think about. And if you haven't yet, like this video and subscribe to the channel. Here, we share elderly wisdom. We talk about what it means to be alive, not just to survive. We give voice to the stories that were never told. And friend, your story? It still has more chapters to go. By the time we reach a certain age, we've carried a lot, laughter and loss, victories and silence. But perhaps the heaviest thing we carry is the unlived life. The dreams we left behind, the risks we never took, and the versions of ourselves we never got to meet. And yet, here you are. Still breathing. Still listening. Which means there's still time. Not time to chase youth, but to reclaim truth. Your truth. Let me tell you about Walt. Walt is 88. Tall. Soft-spoken. Spends most of his days on the porch now, watching birds and clouds like old friends. He once dreamed of becoming a pilot. "I used to sit on the roof as a boy," he told me. "Just to see the sky better." He would draw airplanes in his school books, read about aviation, even built a little model out of scrap metal. But when he was 18, his father told him, "That's no life for a family man." So Walt became a post office clerk. Steady work. Safe. Familiar. He never flew a plane. Never left the country. "I built a life," he said. "A good one. But part of me always stayed on that roof, waiting to take off." And then he looked at me, eyes misty, and asked, "You think it still matters that I had that dream?" Yes, Walt. It matters. It always did. You see, dreams don't expire. Even when we bury them under duty, fear, or time, they stay. Because they are us. The part of us that refused to be tamed. And now, maybe that dream won't be a pilot's license. But maybe it's something smaller. more sacred. Like taking a flight for the first time. Or building a model with a great-grandchild and telling them, "This was mine once." Or writing the story of your dream, so others can find the courage to chase theirs. Because even if the dream changes shape, it still deserves air. And that brings me to Helen. Helen is 80. Lived most of her life in silence. Not because she couldn't speak, but because her family always spoke for her. She wanted to sing. Not on a stage. She said. Just in a room where no one told me to hush. But every time she opened her mouth, someone would say, "Not now, Helen." So she stopped. 4 years. Decades. Until one day, after her husband passed and her children moved away, she stood in front of the mirror and began to hum. And then she sang. For the first time in 42 years. Tears streaming down her cheeks as her voice cracked with age and truth. She said, "It wasn't perfect. But it was mine." And that's what this is all about. Not chasing fame. Not rewriting time. But reclaiming pieces of ourselves we thought were lost. Because aging doesn't mean fading. It means unfolding. Like pages we were too scared to turn. Like music we once silenced to keep others comfortable. And now it's your turn. So I ask you, gently but clearly. Is there a story you never told? A song you never sang? A class you never took? A love letter you never sent? Maybe it's time. Maybe this chapter, this exact one you're in right now, is the one where you stop waiting for permission. Where you pick up the pen again. Where you step outside not to follow a dream, but to meet it halfway. Where you dare to say, "I'm still here. And I'm still becoming." There's a woman I met once, Teresa, 77. She had spent her whole life supporting others. Cooking, cleaning, helping, giving. But she told me that one night, sitting alone in her kitchen, she whispered out loud, "I wish someone had told me I was allowed to want more." Well, I'm telling you now. You are allowed. To want more. To start over. To make a mess. To try. To risk. And if someone once made you feel small for dreaming, let this video remind you. Your dreams were never foolish. They were just waiting for you to come home to them. So now, as we come to the end of this conversation, I invite you to leave a comment and tell me, what's one thing you wish you had done? And even better, what's one small step you could still take today? If this message touched something in you, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Because this is not just a space for stories. It's a space for healing. For elderly wisdom. For motivation that doesn't shout, but understands. For the quiet, courageous souls who still carry a spark, even after all these years. Your dreams? They're not over. They're just waiting for you to believe in them again. And I believe in you.